I want you to stop for a moment and think about something that might shock you. Right now, as you're listening to my voice, there are people your age, with your background, maybe even with less education than you, who are creating wealth at a rate that would make your head spin. They're not necessarily smarter than you. They don't have some secret genetic advantage. They weren't born into money. The only difference between them and you is one simple thing. They've disciplined their thinking about wealth in a way that most people never will. See, here's what I've discovered after studying thousands of successful individuals and watching the patterns emerge over decades of research and personal experience. The way you think about money, wealth, and success isn't just important, it's everything. Your thoughts about wealth are literally programming your brain to either attract or repel the very thing you claim you want most. And most people, I mean the vast majority of people walking this planet, have been programmed to think about wealth in ways that guarantee they'll never achieve it. Let me tell you something that's going to challenge everything you think you know about building wealth. The biggest lie we've been told is that wealthy people are just lucky, or that they had some unfair advantage, or that they're somehow different from us. That's nonsense. That's a story we tell ourselves to feel better about our own financial situation. The truth is far more empowering and far more uncomfortable. Wealthy people think differently about wealth, and they've trained their minds to operate in ways that create financial abundance. When I first started studying this phenomenon, I was broke. I mean, really broke. I was living paycheck to paycheck, constantly worried about money, always feeling like I was behind. I had all the same excuses you probably have right now. I told myself I didn't have the right connections, I didn't come from money, I didn't have the right education, I didn't have enough capital to start. But then something shifted in my understanding that changed everything. I realized that every single thought I was having about money was programming my subconscious mind to keep me exactly where I was. Every time I said, I can't afford it, I was reinforcing a belief system that kept abundance away from me. Every time I looked at wealthy people with resentment or suspicion, I was creating psychological barriers that made it impossible for me to become one of them. Every time I focused on lack, scarcity, and limitation, I was literally rewiring my brain to notice and create more of the same. The wealthy people I began studying weren't just thinking different thoughts about money. They were thinking from an entirely different paradigm. While most people think about money from a place of scarcity, successful people think about money from a place of abundance. While most people focus on what they don't have, successful people focus obsessively on what they can create. While most people see money as something finite that has to be divided up, successful people see money as something infinite that can be generated through value creation. This isn't just positive thinking mumbo jumbo. This is about understanding how your brain actually works and how to program it for success instead of failure. Your subconscious mind is like a sophisticated computer that's running programs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. These programs determine what you notice, what opportunities you see, what actions you take, and ultimately what results you create in your life. Most people are running wealth-repelling programs without even knowing it. Let me give you a perfect example of how this works. When a person with a scarcity mindset sees an expensive car, their automatic thought is often something like, must be nice to have rich parents, or probably bought it with dirty money, or what a waste of money. These thoughts aren't just opinions. They're programming instructions that tell the subconscious mind that wealth is bad, suspicious, or unattainable. The subconscious mind takes these instructions and makes sure the person never becomes wealthy because they've associated wealth with negative characteristics. But when a person with an abundance mindset sees that same expensive car, their automatic thought is completely different. They think, what kind of value did that person create to afford that? Or what can I learn from their success? Or that's evidence that high levels of wealth are possible. These thoughts program the subconscious mind to associate wealth with positive characteristics and to look for opportunities to create similar results. This is why your thinking about wealth isn't just important, it's the foundation that everything else is built on. You cannot create wealth while simultaneously believing that wealthy people are bad, that money corrupts people, that there's only so much to go around, or that you don't deserve financial abundance. These beliefs create a psychological ceiling that keeps you trapped no matter how hard you work or how many strategies you try. I want you to understand something crucial about how successful people actually think about money on a daily basis. They don't think about money the way most people do. Most people think about money in terms of spending and saving. They think about their paycheck, their bills, their expenses, their debt. Their entire financial reality revolves around managing the money they already have or the money they expect to receive from their job. Successful people think about money in terms of creating and multiplying. They think about value creation, problem solving, system building, and wealth generation. Their entire financial reality revolves around how to create more value in the marketplace and how to build systems that generate money while they sleep. This isn't just a different strategy, it's a completely different way of relating to money itself. Most people have been conditioned to think like employees when it comes to money. They think in terms of trading time for dollars, working for someone else, and hoping for raises and promotions. They think about money as something that comes from outside of them, something that has to be earned through sacrifice and struggle. This employee mindset creates a psychological dependency that keeps people trapped in financial mediocrity for their entire life. Successful people have trained themselves to think like owners and investors when it comes to money. They think in terms of creating assets, building businesses, solving problems at scale, and making money work for them instead of the other way around. They think about money as something that can be created through innovation, value creation, and strategic thinking. This ownership mindset creates a psychological foundation for unlimited wealth creation. The difference between these two mindsets isn't just philosophical, it's practical. When you think like an employee, you focus on getting a job, doing what you're told, and hoping someone else will take care of your financial future. When you think like an owner, you focus on identifying opportunities, taking calculated risks, and building systems that create long-term wealth. But here's where it gets really interesting. Most people don't even realize they're thinking like employees. They've been so conditioned by our educational system, our culture, and our family programming that employee thinking feels normal and natural. They can't even imagine thinking any other way. They look at successful entrepreneurs and investors like they're a different species, like they have some magical ability that regular people don't possess. The truth is that successful people have simply disciplined their thinking to operate from a different set of assumptions about how wealth is created. They've reprogrammed their subconscious minds to look for opportunities instead of obstacles, to see possibilities instead of problems, to focus on abundance instead of scarcity. And the most amazing thing about this is that anyone can learn to do it. I'm going to share with you one of the most powerful mental shifts that successful people make, and it's something that can literally transform your financial reality overnight if you truly understand and apply it. Most people focus on what they can get. Successful people focus obsessively on what they can give. Most people ask, what's in it for me? Successful people ask, how can I create massive value for others? This isn't about being altruistic or charitable, although those are wonderful qualities. This is about understanding the fundamental principle that governs all wealth creation. Money flows to those who create the most value for the most people. Every dollar you've ever received in your life came to you because someone believed you were providing them with value that was worth paying for. The more value you create, the more money flows to you. It's that simple and that profound. But here's what most people miss. They try to extract value before they create value. They want to get paid before they've earned it. They want returns on investments they haven't made. They want rewards for efforts they haven't expended. This backwards thinking creates a psychological and practical barrier that keeps wealth at arm's length. Successful people understand that you have to give before you can receive, that you have to create value before you can capture value, that you have to solve problems before you can profit from solutions. They've trained their minds to constantly look for ways to serve others, to solve problems, to make people's lives better. And as a natural consequence of this mindset, money flows to them in direct proportion to the value they create. This is why successful people can walk into any industry, any market, any situation and figure out how to create wealth. It's not because they have some special knowledge about that particular field. It's because they have a trained mind that automatically looks for opportunities to create value. They see problems that others ignore. They identify needs that others miss. They find ways to serve that others never consider. Most people have been trained to think in terms of jobs and paychecks. They look for existing positions, existing structures, existing opportunities that someone else has already created. They wait for permission, approval, and authorization before they take action. They want guarantees, security, and certainty before they make moves. This passive, permission-seeking mindset keeps them dependent on others for their financial well-being. Successful people have trained themselves to think in terms of value creation and problem solving. They look for gaps in the marketplace, unmet needs, inefficient systems, and emerging opportunities. They take initiative, make decisions, and create their own opportunities. They understand that wealth is created by those who take action in the face of uncertainty, who solve problems that others avoid, who create solutions that others can't see. The most successful people I've studied have developed what I call opportunity consciousness. Their minds are constantly scanning their environment for ways to create value, solve problems, and serve others. They can't help but see opportunities because they've trained their subconscious minds to filter reality through this lens. While most people see obstacles and problems, they see potential solutions and profit centers. This isn't something you're born with. This is something you develop through disciplined mental training. You have to consciously reprogram your default thought patterns from problem-focused to solution-focused, from scarcity-based to abundance-based, from employee-minded to owner-minded. You have to literally rewire your brain to think like a successful person thinks. Let me tell you about another critical difference in how successful people think about wealth. Most people think about money in terms of immediate gratification. They want results now, profits now, success now. They're focused on quick fixes, get-rich-quick schemes, and instant solutions. This short-term thinking prevents them from building the kind of long-term wealth that creates true financial freedom. Successful people think about money in terms of compound growth and long-term wealth building. They understand that true wealth is built through consistent action over extended periods of time. They're willing to delay gratification, invest in their future, and build systems that may not pay off immediately, but will create massive wealth over time. They think in decades, not days. This long-term thinking allows them to make decisions that most people won't make. They'll invest in education when others spend on entertainment. They'll save and invest when others consume and spend. They'll work on building assets when others are focused on increasing their lifestyle. They understand that every dollar they invest wisely today could be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars in the future. But here's what's really interesting about this long-term thinking. It's not just about financial discipline, although that's important. It's about having a completely different relationship with time itself. Most people think about time as something they trade for money. They sell their hours in exchange for dollars. They're trapped in a linear relationship where more money requires more time. Successful people think about time as something they can leverage and multiply. They understand that by building systems, creating passive income streams, and making their money work for them, they can escape the time for money trap. They can create situations where they're making money while they sleep, while they travel, while they're focused on other projects. They've learned to disconnect their income from their direct time investment. This shift from linear thinking to exponential thinking is one of the most important mental transformations that successful people make. Instead of thinking, how can I make more money per hour? They think, how can I create systems that generate money without my direct involvement? Instead of thinking, how can I work harder? They think, how can I work smarter and more strategically? The implications of this shift are enormous. When you're thinking linearly, your income is always limited by the number of hours you can work. When you're thinking exponentially, your income is limited only by the value you can create and the systems you can build. Linear thinking keeps you trapped in the employee mindset. Exponential thinking opens up the possibility of unlimited wealth creation. Most people have never been taught to think exponentially about money. They've been programmed to think in terms of salaries, hourly wages, and trading time for dollars. They've been conditioned to believe that the only way to make more money is to work more hours or get a better job. This programming keeps them trapped in a financial prison of their own making. Successful people have broken free from this programming. They've learned to think in terms of leverage systems, passive income, and wealth multiplication. They understand that the goal isn't to make more money per hour, but to create sources of income that don't require their direct time investment. They've disciplined their thinking to focus on building assets rather than just earning income. Let me share with you another crucial aspect of how successful people think about wealth that most people completely miss. They understand that wealth isn't just about having money, it's about having options, freedom, and the ability to make choices based on what they want rather than what they need. Most people are so focused on accumulating money that they miss the real purpose of wealth creation. Successful people think about wealth in terms of freedom and possibilities. They want financial independence, not just so they can buy expensive things, but so they can make decisions based on their values, their passions, and their purpose rather than their financial constraints. They understand that true wealth is about having the freedom to say yes to opportunities that excite them and no to situations that drain them. This perspective completely changes how they approach wealth building. Instead of just trying to accumulate as much money as possible, they focus on creating sustainable systems that will provide them with long-term financial security and freedom. They think about building wealth that will last for generations, not just wealth that will fund their current lifestyle. Most people think about money as a way to solve their immediate problems or fulfill their immediate desires. They want more money so they can pay off their debts, buy a nicer house, take better vacations, or retire comfortably. While these are all worthy goals, this limited thinking prevents them from understanding the true power of wealth creation. Successful people think about money as a tool for creating the life they truly want to live. They understand that money is just a means to an end, not the end itself. They are clear about what they want their life to look like, what kind of impact they want to have, what kind of legacy they want to leave, and they use wealth building as a strategy to make those dreams possible. This clarity of purpose gives them a tremendous advantage in wealth creation because it provides them with the motivation and focus they need to persist through challenges and setbacks. When you know exactly why you want to build wealth, when you have a compelling vision of what financial freedom will allow you to do, you're much more likely to make the sacrifices and take the actions necessary to achieve your goals. Most people lack this clarity of purpose when it comes to wealth building. They want more money, but they're not really sure why. They haven't taken the time to clearly define what financial success would look like for them or what they would do with true wealth if they achieved it. This lack of clarity makes it easy to get distracted, discouraged, and derailed from their wealth building efforts. Successful people have taken the time to get crystal clear about their financial goals.